What if I tell you that some government programs and policies can hugely impact rising prices and therefore your wallet? Yes, that's true. कुछ गवर्नमेंट प्रोग्राम्स एंड पॉलिसीज भी महंगाई या इन्फ्लेशन का कारण बन जाती हैं। In today's video, we will explore some real-world examples and uncover the surprising connections between government decisions and economic burdens that you and I as a consumer have to bear. We will discover a whole new side of inflation that you might not have seen before, as we will break down subsidies, money printing, the ripple effects of global events, massive bailouts, and much more. Alright, let's take a closer look at specific government programs and real-world events from around the globe that have contributed to inflation in those respective countries. चलिए इसको एक-एक करके point wise समझते हैं। Number 1. Government subsidies and their impact. Let's talk about subsidies. They are designed to make essential goods affordable, but here's the twist. When governments pump too much money into subsidies, such as offering discounts on fuel or food, they have to obtain that money from somewhere, right? And आपको क्या लगता है? Where does that money come from? Often it's through borrowing. When more money is circulating in the economy, it can push up prices. Take Egypt for example, where subsidies on energy contributed to massive budget deficits, which started in the year 2011 and then of course led to inflation. And speaking of inflation, just look at recent elections in a few Indian states where a lot of freebies were distributed in order to win the elections. And you know exactly what I am talking about and whom I am referring to. Number 2. Printing money, a delicate balancing act. Have you ever heard of central banks printing more and more money? It's a strategy known as quantitative easing. This practice aims to give the economy a boost, especially during challenging times. However, there's a catch. When more money enters the system, it can trigger a price increase. Take for instance Japan's response after the 2008 financial crisis. They went all out with quantitative easing, injecting money into the market to save the economy. Yet this flood of money also brought inflation. Similarly, the United States initiated a massive quantitative easing program after the 2008 financial crisis, injecting billions of dollars into the system. Although it prevented a worse crisis, it also contributed to an increase in the money supply and led to inflation. The same tactics were employed post-COVID-19 also by countries like the US and UK, among others, and we are well aware of the consequences. Number 3. Hosting global events. Suppose your country is going to host major international events like World Cups or the Olympics, and so building various infrastructure for that, such as stadiums and transportation system. Sounds impressive, right? Well, it is. But the thing is, it often comes with a hefty price tag. While hosting global events can bring prestige and economic benefits, they also demand substantial investments. Remember Brazil hosting the FIFA World Cup in 2014 and the Olympics in 2016? They went all out with fancy stadiums and transport system. Brazil spent around $12 billion on the 2014 World Cup and had to borrow a substantial amount to finance these projects. And guess what happens when that debt transforms into money? Yes, you are right, it can lead to inflation. South Africa's hosting of the FIFA World Cup in 2010 echoes a similar story. They poured too much money into stadiums, transportation, and tourism initiatives. So here's the bottom line. If borrowed funds are not efficiently managed and repaid on time, then they have the potential to contribute to inflation in the long run. Number 4. The hidden cost of unproductive jobs. Have you heard of jobs that don't really contribute much to the economy? Yes, those kinds of jobs exist almost everywhere, be it in developed or developing countries. Think about it. Governments might create jobs to appease voters and to fulfill pre-election promises made by the government in exchange for votes. These kinds of jobs hardly add any significant value to the economy. In some countries, a large portion of the working age population holds unproductive government jobs. It might seem like a win-win for society, but these jobs require salaries and a lot of employee benefits. And if that country is not doing economically well, then guess where that money comes from? Borrowing. For example, in countries like Greece, Pakistan, Zimbabwe, and Venezuela, there have been cases in the past where too many people were hired to work for the government. This happened because of pressure from politics. This situation puts a strain on the resources of those countries and may lead to inflation. Number 5. Bailouts during financial crisis. During periods of financial crisis, governments often provide bailouts to troubled banks and companies in order to stabilize the economy. However, these rescue efforts usually involve substantial amounts of money. The 2008 financial crisis and COVID-19 are prime examples. To prevent the collapse of major financial institutions in 2008, the United States government provided a staggering bailout of $700 billion. Similarly, after the COVID-19 pandemic, the United States infused approximately $5 trillion into the US economy to help people, small businesses, restaurants, airlines, hospitals, schools, and other organizations across the country that was facing difficulties due to the challenges caused by COVID-19. But where did that money come from? Of course, borrowing from the Federal Reserve and selling treasury securities. And when there's more money floating around in the economy, prices slowly start to rise. Number 6. National debt dilemma. When governments accumulate too much debt, it's like carrying a heavy burden. To manage this, they might turn to monetizing debt by printing more money, a path that can ultimately lead to inflation. A historical case in point is Zimbabwe. Their extravagant government spending combined with unchecked money printing resulted in hyperinflation, which has been there for the last 2 decades. And you will be shocked to know that prices doubled every 24 hours at their peak in year 2008. Similarly, look at another example of Venezuela. They have had a mountain of debt for decades and they went overboard with money printing. The result, hyperinflation, where prices increase at an insane pace. These real-world examples demonstrate how government programs and events can impact a country's inflation rate. So it's essential for the governments to carefully manage their budgets, prioritize economically viable projects, and ensure responsible borrowing. Let's repeat again, responsible borrowing. This approach helps prevent the accumulation of excessive debt that can otherwise trigger inflationary pressures. By understanding the consequences of government actions on inflation, you and I can make informed decisions, can question their policies, and hold governments accountable for their financial decisions. That's all for now. Please feel free to leave any question or comments below. Thanks a lot for your time and let's take care of this beautiful world. I'll see you next. And smile. Always smile. If you want more such insights, please watch my previous video on how governments around the world use a hidden tax to make up for their budget shortfalls and policy mistakes.